Welcome to Tech Vibe, your no-fluff, deep dive into tomorrow's gear. Today we're putting the spotlight on the newly announced Sony RX1R 3 and doing an authentic review of what it brings to the table, strengths, compromises, and whether it lives up to the hype. From the moment you first hear 61 megapixels in a palm-sized full-frame body, your expectations go into overdrive. But with devices like this, the devil is always in the balance of optics, usability, and real-world performance. Let's see whether Sony's bold promises land or stumble. The RX1R 3 arrives as the third generation in Sony's RX1R fixed-lens full-frame compact line, nearly 10 years after the RX1R 2. Its headline spec is a 61MP back-illuminated XMR full-frame sensor mated to Sony's Bionz XR image processor and a dedicated AI processing chip. The lens is the familiar Zeiss Sonnar T*35mm f/2, but now optimized at the micron level for sharper imaging across the frame. Sony also introduces step crop shooting, which lets you simulate 35mm, 50mm, or 70mm equivalents via sensor crop, or even change the crop in post when shooting RAW. The autofocus system has been dramatically upgraded, 693 densely arranged phase detect AF points covering about 78% of the frame, and AI subject recognition, faces, bodies, animals, vehicles, built in. The RX1R 3 also supports macro shooting down to 20 cm, 0.26 times magnification, a fixed rear LCD, a 2.36 million OLED viewfinder, and USB-C rapid charging. In terms of battery, it's rated for about 300 stills per charge. On pricing and availability, Sony has listed the RX1R 3 at about $5,099 with accessories following shortly. Holding it in your hands, you immediately sense Sony's attempt to preserve that compact full-frame magic. The magnesium alloy body feels solid, the grip is subtly refined compared to past RX1 series models, and the top plate is flat with neatly recessed dials. Yet some compromises are evident. Unlike the RX1R 2, this version drops the tilting screen, the rear LCD is fixed. That means low-angle or overhead shots require more creative body positioning. Also, the body leans toward the utilitarian rather than statement design. It works, but it's not glamorous. Some hands-on reviewers have described it as competent but visually bland, especially for something asking premium dollars. The display and viewfinder are areas where expectations are high. The EVF is a 2.36M OLED unit with 0.70 times magnification, and it offers a bright, detailed viewfinder experience. It's reliable and sharp, but not a dramatic leap forward compared to earlier Sony EVFs. The rear LCD is decent, but its lack of tilt or articulation is a limitation for certain shooting styles. For a camera that costs this much, many would have hoped for a flip-out or tilting screen to aid flexibility. On to performance, this is where the RX1R 3 tries to justify its existence. In daylight, the 61MP sensor delivers extraordinary resolution, fine detail, and broad dynamic range. Shadows recover well, highlights are preserved across many use cases, and noise control is impressive even above ISO 1600. The lack of an optical low-pass filter and the anti-reflection coatings on the sensor help ensure sharpness and clarity. Autofocus is noticeably sharper, faster, and more reliable than past RX1 iterations. Subject tracking via AI detection works well, even with partial occlusion or when the subject is moving unpredictably. That said, because this is a 60+ MP camera, any handshake or focus error is magnified. You'll want fast shutter speeds and stable support if possible. In low light, AF performance is solid but not magical, it holds well in moderately dim scenes but starts to struggle when contrast fades or subjects blur into darkness. Moving to software and features, Sony's inclusion of the step crop shooting function is a thoughtful touch. You can choose between 35mm, full frame, 50mm, or 70mm crops, and when shooting RAW you can even reselect the crop later. That gives users flexibility akin to having 3 primes in one body. Sony also baked in 12 creative looks, essentially in-camera presets for hue, contrast, saturation, and style, which apply to both stills and video. These can be customized on the fly, giving users quick stylized looks without needing to load LUTs after the fact. The UI is familiar to Sony users, with solid physical dials and a responsive menu system, though it can feel a bit dense for newcomers. The fixed screen and limited video-centric controls, no full log modes, limited accessory support, remind you this is still primarily a photography-first tool. Battery life is one of the more controversial aspects. Sony rates it at about 300 still images per charge, 270 when using EVF. That's modest for a premium full-frame camera, especially one expected to live in the field. The good news is USB-C rapid charging support means you can top up on the go using power banks or USB PD sources. But in heavy use, especially if you rely on autofocus, EVF, and higher ISO shooting, you'll likely want a spare battery. It's not egregious, many compact cameras trade battery for size, but for the price, more endurance would have been welcome. For creative performance, whether you're a street photographer, travel shooter, or even casual videographer, the RX1R3 has appeal. The fixed 35mm f/2 lens is excellent in the center, and for many styles that's exactly what you want: sharpness, predictability, and a simplicity that encourages you to work with the frame rather than chase lenses. The macro mode adds fun flexibility. The step crop modes help when you want something more telephoto without changing bodies. Where this model stumbles is in fully dynamic shooting scenarios. The lack of stabilization means that for slower shutter speeds, handheld images may suffer more blur. Also, video support is decent but not premium, 4K at 30 frames per second, FHD 120 frames per second, but limited support for video accessories and advanced recording features. Audio and speakers are expectedly minimal. There's no built-in mic array to rival dedicated gear, and the built-in loudspeaker is okay for playback but not a highlight. This is a still-heavy camera first, video-friendly second, so don't count on advanced audio performance. On connectivity, Sony gives you modern flexibility. USB-C port supports charging and data transfer. The camera supports high-speed SD, UHS-2, cards to manage those large RAW files. There's a multi-interface MI shoe for accessories, but the ecosystem support is more limited than Sony's mirrorless lines. There's no native Wi-Fi or advanced wireless control, or at least Sony has not emphasized it. For tethering or offloading in the field, USB-C is your go-to. Now let's talk price and value. At $5,099, the RX1R3 demands a premium. It sits not just above most compact full-frame offerings, but in competition with high-end mirrorless bodies plus fast lenses. The question becomes, what do you lose and what do you gain in exchange? You lose lens swapping flexibility, stabilization, ergonomic extravagances, and possibly endurance. What you gain is compactness, image quality, discreteness, and a refined single-lens experience with next-level autofocus and top-tier sensor performance. For the right user, someone who values portability and image purity, the value can be justified. But for others, a mirrorless kit might offer more versatility at a similar or lower cost. So what are the pros and cons? Pros: exceptional image quality via the 61MP sensor, with rich detail and dynamic range. Excellent AI-powered autofocus and subject tracking. Flexible step crop shooting to emulate 35/50/70 mm focal lengths. Compact form factor for a full-frame camera. Macro mode down to 20 centimeters. USB-C charging and modern data port. Premium build with magnesium alloy body. Cons: no tilting or flip screen, limiting angles. Battery life is modest for heavy usage. No in-body stabilization. Limited video features and accessory support. High price relative to mirrorless alternatives. Missing flexibility, fixed lens, for users who want zoom or interchangeable optics. In final verdict, the Sony RX1R is a dream camera for a very specific kind of shooter. If you prioritize ultimate image quality in a compact, discreet full-frame body, and you mostly shoot stills in controlled or semi-controlled settings, this is one of the most compelling fixed-lens cameras ever released. It brings flagship-level sensor, autofocus, and optimization into a package you can carry everywhere. But it's not without trade-offs: the lack of screen flexibility, modest battery, and the inability to change lenses may be deal-breakers for someone who values versatility above purity. For many, a mirrorless alternative with stabilization and zoom versatility may offer more in daily life. But for those who obsess over the perfect 35mm frame, the RX1R stands tall. Thanks for watching this deep dive. If you want to see sample image comparisons or a full field test, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned. This is Tech Vibe, bringing you the real story behind the tech.